Hello, good day, and welcome to Learning with Lisa. I am your host, Melissa Ndu, and on today's episode, we'll be treating a topic titled Reading Fluency. Today, we'll be treating what reading fluency is, how to know if your child is a fluent reader, and things to do to help your child achieve fluency if he or she isn't yet a fluent reader. So sit back and relax. I believe you have an interesting time with me. Reading fluency is defined as the ability to read with speed, accuracy, understanding of content, great expression of emotion, and proper diction. Again, reading fluency is defined as the ability to read with speed, accuracy, understanding of content, great expression of emotion, and proper diction. We have this definition now. Now let's think back. Are our children fluent readers? Yes, that's a good question to ask. Is your child a fluent reader? Now, one mistake we make is that when our children come home and read to us, we do not pay attention to how they put words together or how the words flow while they read. Now, if your child still reads like he or she is speaking words one after another, that isn't fluent reading at all. If your child's a fluent reader, the words should flow with a rhythm. Yes, there should be a flow, there should be a rhythm while your child reads to you. Now that's fluency in reading. Another thing to note is that while your child reads to you, even if you do not have a copy of the reading material, it should make sense. You should understand what he or she is reading. You should be able to get in line. You should be able to understand what that child is reading. Now, these are the things that make up fluent reading. So I ask again, is your child a fluent reader? Now, how do we note a fluent reader? I have about 5 points listed here, and I'll begin with the first one. A child who is a fluent reader should be able to place proper vocal emphasis on appropriate words. Again, a child should be able to place proper vocal emphasis on certain words. Another thing is, he or she should use intonation properly as he reads. I hope we know what intonation is. Intonation is the rise and fall in the pitch of a voice as we read. So if a child uses intonation properly, it means that at certain points in the reading material, the pitch of the voice goes up, and then at other times it comes down. This will help your child achieve a rhythm as he or she reads, and it will stop the whole reading activity from becoming boring. A child who's a fluent reader should be able to correctly project emotions as he or she reads. Now, when a child has a reading material and gets to a point where there's happiness, joy, laughter, pleasure, this child should be able to project these emotions correctly using his or her voice. And when it gets to points where there's sadness and pain, and maybe loss of a family friend or of a relative, the child should be able to project sadness properly with his or her voice. Now, this shows that that child is a fluent reader. And it also helps a listener to flow with the reading material. One more thing to note about a fluent reader is that the person is able to use what we call phrasing correctly. Now, phrasing means that you take a reading material and break it into blocks, which you can now take in one breath as you read. Example, Matt has a van and a can. Now, when I do not phrase it, I'll say, Matt has a van and a can. Makes no sense? Yeah. But when phrasing, it'll become, Matt has a van and a can. I hope you see what I did there. So that's what we'll call phrasing. So how do we help our children become fluent readers? One of the things you should do to help your child become a fluent reader is to start early. It is never too early to introduce books to our children. How do we do this? While your baby is still in the womb, read to your child. Okay, studies have proven that children actually listen to sounds while they're still in the room. So while your child is moving around in the belly and you want to calm him down, read. Some people play classical music to their children and it calms them down. Another thing you can do is to read the book to your child. Read to your child and let the child listen to your voice. Now, if you're a fluent reader, there's every tendency that your child will learn to read like you while he or she is just listening in his formative years. The second thing we can do is introduce books early to our children. You do not need to wait till your child is 5 years old, 7 years old, 10 years old, or 15 before you bring books home. While they are still toddlers, bring books home and find time to read these books with your children. One question you might ask me is, what kind of book can I read to a toddler? Yeah, you can begin with books that are called wordless picture books. Yeah, these are books that have more pictures and less words. Now, the good thing about this is because there are no words in the book, you can make up stories reading to your child as you go. And then as you make up stories, you have to follow the pictures in the book. So where you have pictures of happiness and pain, you can just eject that emotion as you read the book to your child. This will help your child become a fluent reader. Another thing to do is to use phonics. Yeah, many schools now offer phonics to their children or to their pupils or students. This is actually very good. Now, in phonics, you are taught to pull sounds together to form words. So if your child is very good with phonics, it will help your child become a good or a fluent reader. However, as your child puts these words together or put these sounds together to form words, remember to introduce phrasing to your children. So now that they know how to pronounce that word, remember to break the sentences into blocks that will be said in one breath to help the reading material have more meaning to listeners. Another thing that can help your child with reading fluency is to use an appropriate reading model. Now, please, if you know that you aren't a good reading model, please do not read to your child. It will not help your child. We have issues with this even in schools. You have young children who pronounce I-S as H-I-S and then pronounce H-I-S as I-S. What I mean is they see the word I-S, is, and pronounce it as his. Okay, and then they say it's his is book when it should be it is his book. Now that's an issue because the reading model or the speaking model they've had are not good enough for them. So please try to get appropriate reading models. We can get these online. Just go online and find videos of people who've read books and download and just play as an audio lesson for your child to listen to. How to do this is when you get these audio lessons and you play, give your child a book to read also. So when they listen for 5 or 1 minute or 2 minutes, you pause and ask your child to read and read just like he or she listened or heard while the audiobook was playing. And then you play again and ask your child to read after listening. If you do this repeatedly, I believe that your child will develop a very good reading speed or reading flow or reading rhythm. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Finally, another thing that will help your child become a fluent reader is for you to register your child for competitions. Spelling bees, debate competitions, speaking competitions, impromptu speeches, all of this activities or exercises will make your child confident. There's nothing that helps a child become more fluent than confidence in his or her voice. Now, when you record your child doing all of these programs, bring it home and tell him, oh, darling, you're doing so well. You actually improved from the last competition you went to. This will drive your child to want to do better than he did before. Okay, so I hope we understood the lesson we had today. It was titled Reading Fluency, and I said reading fluency is the ability to read with speed, accuracy, understanding of content. One more, great expression of emotions, and finally, use of diction. One thing you should note is that if a child is a fluent reader, Even when you do not have a copy of the reading material, it will make so much sense listening to the child. It sounds like music to your ears. You don't even want your child to stop reading. Yes, when your child can do all of this, then you should be confident and know that your child is now a fluent reader. There's an article on this topic in my website and on my blog, www.lisaconsulting.com/blog. Look for the article titled Reading Fluency and Read Up. You can ask questions in the comment section here, or you put your questions in the blog and the comment section of my blog. Follow me on Twitter at Lisa Consulting and on Instagram at Lisa Consulting. Thank you for your time.